with Judy, and Judy's been a wonderful supporter of Viva. She made the trek to Spain and delivered the most wonderful plenary session there. And whenever we've said, Judy, do you think you might? She said yes, almost before we finished the sentence. And she's really efficient at replying to emails, which is how I learn. I learn from experts. I've taken, Judy, I hope this is all right, I've taken from your own website your initial introduction, where you say you have for 3 decades had a passion for nurturing the natural peace of mind and resiliency and well-being in people through the understanding of the 3 principles: mind, consciousness, and thought. And we know you run various programs, and you just, I think today I caught sight of a reminder that you are offering a free veterans program, which is just terrific. But beyond that, there is so much. I thought, well, I'd rather hear from you, and I hope people feel the same, than talk about you. Does that make sense? But you're so welcome, and we're so appreciative. And we're all set now, if you are.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm really happy to be here, and I appreciate short introductions, because my theory of life is it doesn't matter what you did; it matters what you're doing. So, sometimes people run through a whole long list of things that old people have accumulated over the course of their life, and people go, so what? And so I'm really happy to be here. And I thought about this, and I'm just going to keep it very brief and short, but what inspired me to what I want to talk about this morning is a question that a client asked me yesterday. So I had 8 clients yesterday, and it turns out, I don't know, there was a theme. It seems like every single one of them was a terribly abused person. And this one of them was remarkably funny for somebody that had called for help because she was so abused. And she said, do you find it offensive that I can be happy even given my story that I'm telling you? And I said, no, I don't. She said, oh, good. and she said, well, the last therapist I had told me that I was in denial and that I would never get well unless I went through my pain. And I said, well, fortunately, I am not your last therapist. I'm your new therapist. I'm not going to do that. And I thought about how lucky we are that in the work we do, we don't have to keep people rolling around in their pain for very long. And that our goal is to bring people into the present moment, to be able to sort the present from the past, and to be comfortable knowing that terrible things have happened, and they're not happening now, except when they're happening in our heads and we're reliving them. Because I think a lot of people who have had, I mean, if you've lived long enough, something terrible has happened to everybody. And I think a lot of people feel, oh my God, this has scarred me for life. I'll never be the same again. And, the only thing that can scar us is the cut that we administer today by dwelling in unpleasant memories and thoughts, or feeling, defining. Pardon?
Sorry?
Somebody said something and I thought it was somebody with a question or something. Anyway, so by dwelling in memories that are painful, or dwelling in self-criticism or self-doubt, or self-punishment sometimes for things that have happened in the past. And to me, I think the gift of the principles and the gift of the work that we do, and the reason I'm so fond of Viva is because Viva focuses on our innate ability to just get lighthearted and laugh and feel joyful in the moment and have fun, regardless. And, I was thinking how easy it's going to be to work with this one client who was, checking out to see if she should be embarrassed about being happy now. And I said, so why, if you're happy now, what is it you want from me? And what do you want to accomplish in our time together? So she said, well, you know, I'm happy now, but I'm not sure how to hang on to it. And she said it sort of happened naturally. She had a baby. She got married and her life kind of straightened out, and then she had a baby. So she loves her baby and she's very excited about this baby. It was an adorable baby. She had it with her on the Zoom call. And she said, you know, I'm just so happy because I have like a real life. It's just like everybody else's life. I'm a mom, with a stay-at-home mom with a baby, and, you know, a husband with a job, which is very fortunate in these times. And you know, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, why shouldn't I be happy? And but I'm afraid that at any moment I'm going to lose it. And I thought, wow, this is so great, because she's had the experience of being present and being happy in this moment. And she doesn't realize that that's what we were meant to do all the time. That's the natural life of a human being. And her fear that she might lose it is the only way she can lose it. And she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that getting into fearful thoughts about losing happiness is the only way you're going to lose it, because if you didn't do that, you would still be happy. And she doesn't understand the power that she has. So I said, well, where do you think happiness comes from? And she said, well, you know, I just started feeling happy when I realized, after I found out I was pregnant and healthy, and I gave birth to this baby, and the baby's healthy, and, you know, I just started feeling extremely blessed and happy because of these wonderful things that have happened to me. And I said, well, what if you could have been happy even if they hadn't happened to you? She said, well, I don't think that would have been possible. And see, that to me is the gift that we bring people, is that is possible. And people don't know it. Our general tendency as a culture, as a society, and I'm not sure, it certainly is not true in all cultures, is to feel happy and look around and say, oh, it must be this, or it must be that. I'm probably happy because this friend called, you know, and I haven't talked to him for a long time, or, you know, somebody sent me some money or whatever. And that's not, and that's what inhibits people from being happy when times get bad. That's what keeps people, you know, like that. That's why there's so much depression and sadness and suffering right now in the world, because people are frightened, and, you know, things aren't going well, and you know, and we have this frightening disease out there, and life is not normal. You see, we're not all in Spain, you know, for example. And so I just wanted to, I know that all of you are involved in this work and that you are aware of this, but to emphasize that the beauty of really awakening to the reality of the principles, because they're working within us, whether we awaken to them or not. It doesn't really matter if we know the principles. You know, principles are the things in life. It's sort of like mathematics. It's true whether you understand it or not, you know, and when you understand it, you can do things with it and with your understanding. So when we start waking up to the incredible spiritual gift of the principles being, you know, the energy of all of life, that we're just a part of something that is designed to function smoothly, but we have free will that allows us to use it kind of creatively, let's put it that way. And when we think about using it creatively, we can create anything. So we can create misery, we can create bad memories that we continually revisit, you know, like having yucky scrapbooks that you never threw away or put aside. We can create any thought we want. And as soon as we create that thought, we experience that thought through our sensory system. We experience what a person in that state would experience. And so if a person has had you know, this one person I was talking to yesterday who suddenly found herself happy, she said, you know, the problem is, because I was mentioning memories as part of the package of things that, you know, we can draw from. And she said, well, I don't want to do that because I have no good memories, zero. She said, my first memory is being sexually abused by my father when I was a baby, tiny little girl. And she said, and it was one bad thing after another until very recently. So if I go into my memories for any reason at all, I can't find anything good. And I said, well, the fortunate thing is you don't have to spend a lot of time there. And she said, well, you know, everybody tells me I've got to deal with them. And I said, well, what would you be doing with them if you dealt with them? You know, like, what would that mean to you? And she said, well, and come to peace with people that I can't forgive. And, you know, she's going through this laundry list of all these things that has to be resolved before she can be at peace, even though at the moment she's telling me this, she's fine. And I said, well, what if your memories were just unfortunate? And when they came to mind, they were just sort of like you went to the movies and you thought you were going to a romantic comedy from the name of the movie. And when you walked in, you discovered it was a horror show and you left. And you don't have to stay for the movie. And she said, well, yeah, but people keep telling me that if you don't deal with them, if you don't do something with all these memories, they're going to come back and bite you. And I said, oh, where do they live? You know, where are they coming from? You know, which train are they taking here? And she said, you're really making light of this. And I said, yeah, I really am. And I'm sorry if you're offended by that, but I'm making light of it because the common sense would tell you that you own your own mind. And that's what the principles really tell us, is we own our own mind. And we have absolute capacity to use it however we want to. And the deeper we go into it, the deeper we get connected to the spiritual nature that is the core of life, the more powerful we feel in the face of things that pop into our heads that are not pleasant. And to the degree that we really do see, you know, we tell people breezily, well, you know, you're the thinker of your own thoughts. And people go, yeah, well, sure, I am the thinker of my own thoughts. But you don't, that's a very profound statement. That's a very profound statement, because it means that nothing that comes to your mind comes from anywhere else but you. That's it. If you didn't think it, it wouldn't exist for you. And no one could put thoughts into your mind. You can borrow things from people and put them in your own library and put your own spin on them, and people do that. But when you realize that that's all you did, that you decided to take that thought seriously and add it to your thoughts, then you've got the ability to say, well, yeah, I don't really like that one that much. I think I'll just leave it on the shelf. And to the degree that we start to feel that sense of ease with whatever thoughts come to mind, that no thought has any power over us, regardless of how incredibly horrifying it might have been at the time it first happened and we first stored it away. Now, the only power that it has is the power that we give it if it pops into our mind, and how many thoughts we add to it before we realize what we've done. And that is an incredible, incredible gift. And I can say for myself in my own life, being able to discard, and by discard, I don't mean, you know, never see them again or get rid of them forever or anything. Discard them from this moment now by just putting them back, you know, like, I don't need you right now. To the degree that I can discard a thought that is taking me down a path of pain, I have absolute control over how depressed I want to get, or how sad I'm willing to be, or how upset I'm willing to be, or whether I decide to be angry or not. And that sense of choice is our freedom. That's the ultimate human freedom. So joy is a choice, you know, and I don't know that people realize that. I think sometimes people are always thinking, well, and I know people have said that about Viva, for example. Oh, it's so much fun. I always get to Viva, and as soon as I get there, I feel so much better. And that's great. And of course that's true, because people come to Viva in a good mood and everybody's lighthearted, and you're getting into the feeling. But it's not Viva that's doing it for you. It's what you think about Viva. And I'm sure there are people that do show up at Viva who are consumed with something that happened to them at the airport and are in a crummy mood until they get over it. So we always forget that. It's, of course we're drawn to places where people are happy and lighthearted and fun to be with, and where the nurturing the human fun gene is kind of the point. But it's possible to be miserable in a happy place, and it's possible to be happy in a miserable place. And that's our ultimate and most precious gift. So I know that right now, because a lot of people, I do a lot of pro bono work online right now, and I end up talking to people that are caught up a lot in the activities around COVID, or whose lives have been dramatically impacted by loss of income and loss of jobs, or loss of, God knows, loss of a loved one to the disease itself, which I've lost friends too. And people say, well, I just, it's just too sad. It's too overwhelming. It's just too terrible. And in that moment, when you recognize the loss, that's true. If someone calls you and says, I'm sorry, you didn't have a chance to see your loved one, but he's passed away and he's in, you won't be able to talk to him ever again. That's a moment of, no one expects you to go, oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, that's all right. That's not a human expectation. But the degree to which you can move from there to gratitude for the time you did have with your loved one depends on your knowledge of thought and how you use your thought. And I've found that people who have spent a lot of time in grief and despair over things that have happened get a tremendous amount of relief from knowing that that's a choice, even though it's kind of unsettling at first to hear that that's a choice. It's like, huh? But if it's not a choice, then you're screwed. How do you get out of it? And the principles make it very clear. You're the thinker of your own thoughts and the creator of your own moment-to-moment reality. So we didn't create the experience that the world is having right now, but we're creating our experience of that experience, moment to moment to moment. And I think this is a perfect example. And Sue and Sheila put together the Viva conference and found a way to bring us all together in laughter and fun and enjoyment, and and some important stuff too, and just not gotten all upset because they can't do it the way they want to do it. Because the world is not set up for us to get our way. It's set up to keep going on. The world is going to keep whirling on no matter what we wish it was doing. And to become sort of comfortable in our own skin, in the space we're in, gives us the freedom then to choose things that could improve that space for us and everybody else. And that's my second point about joy. Joyful people make joyful decisions. So I had to laugh the other day that I was watching somebody interviewed on TV, and this person was very angry, and as are many people now, and was going on and on about this has got to change and that's got to change, and people don't understand, and this is bad and that's bad, and I'm determined that we're going to make a difference here, and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking to myself, what kind of difference are you going to make in a low mood? What are the choices that people make when they are in a low mood? They don't make wise choices. The lower our state of mind, the less in touch we are with our freedom as human beings, the more we make choices that are really survival choices rather than creative choices. You know, we cling to the familiar when we're really low, and we let go of it and imagine what's possible when we're at peace. And if there was one message that I think that we all should look for, you know, in the situation that we're going through, is that the more we can stay in a creative space of what's possible now and not get triggered by the natural inclination to find things discouraging or upsetting or fear producing or anger producing, and just look to see, okay, what can I create? What could I engage other people in creating that might make a difference? You know, and you know, I was looking at Amy, who joined the call, and I'm thinking Amy's an example of that, because Amy has created this incredible sort of knowledge base related to climate change, and you know, she posted pictures recently. I'm sorry, Amy, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I hope you don't mind. And she's created this incredibly beautiful garden to kind of show that you can have a sustainable garden and experiment with different plants, and to see what they, in their little family, how they could change things so that it was sustainable and beautiful and more attuned to joy and well-being and celebration of life. And but there are other people that are just sitting home saying, well, I can't find anything I want in the grocery store, and I just hate it, and the vegetables are all dying, and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, that's their experience of the experience. We're all having the same experience, but everybody's experiencing it differently. So that's, you know, that's kind of my message, that joy is inherent in us as soon as we relax and look to appreciate. And I really mean that appreciation is at the core. Appreciate the enormous creativity that we have when we really own our mind, when we know that we can create something out of nothing, that wisdom will flow through us, and we'll see things that no one has ever seen before, and that will create new things in the world. If we could just bring that to the world and people could really see it, things would be very different. So that's my word. If anyone had a question or something, I'd be happy to answer it, but that's kind of the message I wanted to share.
Well, if people have a question and they'd like to
or comment,
they'd need to unmute themselves, but that would be absolutely fine. And I could ask one of the wonderful volunteers to perhaps sort that out for me. Karen. So if you would like to, what would be the best thing, Karen, for people to raise their hand, or
whatever they're happy doing? It makes no difference. They can write it in the chat, or they can raise their hands by clicking on the participants button and then clicking on raise hand at the bottom of the screen.
Okay. And it's open to everybody. It's not just everybody who's here this evening. We're all in this, and so that you don't have to be called a participant to ask a question.
Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to say that it's so nice to see you. I'm so grateful to see you here. And I couldn't hear everything because my granddaughter was drawing and distracting me. but the feeling that I was getting, I felt filled up with gratitude. So I wanted to say thank you. And this is my big boy here, Darren.
Oh, hi, Darren. I'm Judy.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Absolutely amazing what you said about allowing yourself to how far you allow yourself to sink or pick yourself up. Really resonates well with me. I suffered with a lot of depression when I was quite young.
Me too.
And that's one of the things that actually helped me. Really resonated. I chose to not be depressed, and I know that sounds like quite an extreme thing to do, but just that one thought was all it took to start the journey back up.
Yeah.
And if you allow yourself to feel joy, you will. If you don't want to feel joy, you absolutely won't enjoy it. So yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I always relate that to one time when I was driving from where I lived to Atlanta, Georgia, and I got off it was raining, really, really raining hard, and I could hardly see the signs, the road signs, because the rain was so heavy and it was cloudy and it was dusk. And I took the wrong exit, and I was on this terrible 2-lane country road with ditches on either side, you know, no place to turn around. And there were trucks coming the other way. And I was terrified because I had no idea where I was and how far I had to go before I found some place I could turn around. And I got more and more, you know, frightened. I'm like gripping the steering wheel. I realized I was sticking my fingernails into my palms. And and gas station where I could pull over and turn. And I had to drive the same miles back to the highway to get back on the highway and find the right exit. But I was happy as a clam as soon as I turned around, you know, because I knew I was going the right way. And I think that's what happens when you decide, you know what, I've had clients say to me, I'm just sick of feeling this bad. And I always say, that's great, you know, because that's like turning around.
It's a great metaphor as well.
Yeah.
The right way, it feels right. It feels good.
Yeah. So, anyone else? Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Is that me?
Yes, that's you. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm so afraid I'm going to mispronounce your name. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Say it
It's Kjetil.
okay.
I know it's hard. Yeah, I know it's hard. I just wanted to. I don't have a question. I was just so moved, and as you were speaking, you know, today and last few days, I've been so busy, just you know, planning and all the stuff I want to do and achieve, and my drivenness has just been so big, you know, and so it was just perfect. I'm still in tears, and it was just, you know, joy is a choice, you know. It was just such a huge reminder, and I was just viewing my life, and I was like, all the things I want to achieve, why, you know, it doesn't matter compared to being in joy right now, you know, and every day. So it was just, I don't know, it's just beautiful reminder, and you know, I'll achieve those things, you know, probably, but it will be easier to do it with joy and so much more fun, and my throat doesn't have to, you know, suffocate me on the way. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, you know, I truthfully, I found in my life that I get much more productive when I'm at peace and happy.
Yeah.
And, you know, in operating from joy. I mean, and honestly, strangely, in the last several months that I've been confined to my home pretty much because I'm in the high risk category. And Florida's a mess where I live. And so I pretty much stay home, but I've gotten so many exciting ideas and done so many new projects and everything, and I sort of surprised myself. And I thought, wow, it didn't seem like work, but I've certainly done a lot of stuff when I look back on it. And I think it's because, you know, I chose joy. I just chose not to get sucked into the maelstrom of negativity that seems to be swirling around out there now. So yeah.
Okay, we've got Dawn that would like to ask you a question, Judy. So, Dawn, if you can unmute yourself.
You've unmuted me. Fantastic. Thank you. Hope you can hear me. Well done. So, excellent. Hi, Judy. Just a quick question. I had to type it out because I'm unsure if I can ask it gracefully. You mentioned not taking your thoughts seriously, or indeed taking any action when you're in a low mood. That's what I heard. You may not have used the word low mood, but that's what my little brain processed.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And acting from a place of joy, which, as everyone else has said, I definitely felt in the call. I think that sums up Viva as a whole for me. And I, even though I know it's not true, I'm convinced the Spanish sun had something to do with the joy. So now it's going to have to be the Devon sun. I guess one of the things, I know we can't will ourselves out of a low mood. There's no way of doing that. But can you talk a little bit more about how we maybe can handle those moods gracefully while waiting in the in-between for the joy?
Yeah, you know, I know again, sounds very superficial at first, but the best way out of a low mood is to not care that you're in a low mood. You know, it's because what happens to people is they get frightened by a low mood and they think, I don't want to be in this low mood. I hate this low mood. I really want to get rid of this low mood. I don't know what to do about it because it keeps hanging around. And the more you think about the low mood, the longer it lasts. When you're not thinking about it, it sort of dissipates. And so I think fighting it is the mistake that people make when they can't, you know, they say, I've just been in a low mood for days. I feel like, what's been on your mind? You know, well, trying to get out of this stupid mood. And I go, oh, there you go. You know, you just keep trying and you'll be in it for a long time. But our natural inclination is towards peace. And, you know, our comfort and peace. And to the degree that we don't mind being in low moods, because sooner or later everybody's going to do that. You know, we're bound to have some negative thoughts and we're bound to have some bad memories, and things happen. So they come and go, but they go faster when we just go, oh, well, big deal. I'm in a low mood. It'll pass. And then just go on about our life. Somebody asked me one time, well, how do you see clients if you're in a low mood? And I said, well, because when I see clients, I forget about myself. And then when I stop seeing them, I'm out of the mood, you know, guess what? Yeah.